So the last thing I expected in Secret Empire was a dinner party. I mean, Tony Stark, Captain America, and Ultron having dinner together? What the hell has this world come to? Yes, Frontline fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do that all-important comic book review, so you, the fans, can make a decision on what comics to buy. And today on Frontline, I am going to be talking about Secret Empire issue number 4, as it is my rotation on the list to talk about this book. That's right, guys, the book is written by Nick Spencer. The artwork in this issue is done by Leinil Francis Yu, and if you were not a fan of Andrea Sorrentino's artwork, then you're gonna like this artwork, as it is an improvement, as it does get you more immersed into this story. So what happens in this particular part of Secret Empire? Well, we open up the book this time with the ultimate or alternate Captain America, and we wind up finding out now that he has friends, and which looks like Sam and I think it's Bucky, and they chose to fight together because they were stopping some bad guys in this whatever universe that it is, and they wind up finding friends, and they have hope together as a family, and we kind of close the door on that for now, and we don't get anything else really touched upon that, I think, going into the issue. As the issue really starts, we wind up finding out that Natasha is this huge threat to Captain America, and Captain America knows that, and he has hired Punisher to go after her and to go stop her at whatever cost. And so Natasha in this issue winds up teaching the young champions a lesson, how there can be no mercy, especially when it comes to Hydra. They felt bad for the way Natasha was interrogating a Hydra agent, and he kind of tricked them and saying, oh, thank you, I'll help you, and then they release him, and then he goes to attack him. So Natasha's still learning how to teach the champions on how to be ruthless like she is. So really, that's what gets touched upon in the beginning of this issue. The main part of this particular story has to do with Hank Pym Ultron and how he lives in Alaska and how he keeps to himself. And there's this rumor that's going on that him and Captain America have this deal with each other and whatnot. And so what happens is Tony Stark comes to the whereabouts of this cosmic cube fragment, and they're after the fragments. Captain America's after the fragments, and so what happens is they wind up meeting together, the Avengers and the Hydra people, and they all wind up meeting together with Hank Pym Ultron, and they were after this fragment. And what happens is the Avengers wind up getting captured. The Tony Stark Avengers, Captain America's Avengers wind up staying back, and then what happens is we wind up seeing this dinner that takes place, and really Hank Pym wants them all together to be kind of like old times, and no one is kind of like digging it at the particular moment, and we get to see tensions mound throughout this dinner. We get to see Tony Stark, obviously he's AI, but, things mound up, and he starts yelling at Hank Pym, and he starts yelling at him about Janet, on what he did to Janet, and he sits there and he freaks out, and he gets all super huge and big, and things like that, and he sits there and he says, all you guys ever want to come here for is if you want something. He's like, we're never here to relive the old times. And he goes, why is this the only thing you can remember is about me and Janet, and things like that. And so he just went apeshit on the Avengers, and there started this battle going on. And so what happens is we wind up seeing Scott Lang, where he steps in and he goes, dude, hey, he's like, I've always looked up to you, man. He's like, you know, whenever things get rough to me, I go to this bright spot, and, you know, it reminds me of Cassie, and what would she do, you know? And maybe you should do the same thing. What would Janet do in this case? So there were some good dialogue moments in this book, and what happens is, since Hank Pym is the one that kind of put Hank Pym Ultron in his place and treated him like a human and not like an Ultron, he winds up giving him the cosmic cube shard, and they wind up taking off, and they wind up being released. And Captain America sits there and goes to Hank Pym, and he sits there and goes, dude, I thought we had a deal. And there was just, you know, there was that particular reason why he gave him the shard. So they kind of let him go. And really, in the end, what happened at the end of the last issue is we wound up seeing Captain America blow up this temple from Namor to send a message to them. And Namor, instead of fighting, he winds up realizing that this is a war that he can't win. So he gives up the Cosmic Cube Shard and just gives it to Captain America. So right now, at this point, the score is 1-1. Hydra has a shard, and the Tony Stark's Avengers has a shard. And what happens now, by the time we get to the end of this issue, there's actually a mole in Tony Stark's team that is maybe possibly going to get the shard for Captain America or spoil things for Tony Stark's team. So, really interesting cliffhanger, as well as all the cliffhangers has been. But this was a really good story this time around. What did I think about it? I actually like this one more enjoyable than the last one, as the last one focused a lot of all the tie-ins that was happening. And this time we get Ultron thrown into the mix. And I love how, you know, we get all the Avengers together, and he wears this cooking apron. He says, we're all going to sit down, we're going to eat dinner together. And, you know, and he tries to get everyone together, and it just blew up in his face. And he had some really good moments in there as he sits there and he says, I try to contain the Ultron that's within inside me. He's like, it could be unleashed at any time. I fight and I struggle every single day. And it was tough to see all these Avengers, all the founding members of the Avengers together, but struggling with each other. And also what this book did a really good job at is that it kind of poked fun at itself. How many changes has taken place over the Marvel Universe within the past few years. It really poked fun at that, and I appreciated that. Ultron sits there and he says, Tony, I don't even recognize you, and Cap, you're like Hydra, and there was all these different changes. So it was kind of cool to actually see that within the book too. And they referenced a lot of the old events that take place. So my hat's off there to throwing in all the other events that Marvel has put in the past as well. So I really quite enjoyed this story. I don't think it really progressed the story all that much, but since Ultron's involved with this story in the long run going forward, I felt that this was the proper time to kind of introduce him back into the series. So time will tell to see where Ultron does fit in and where the Mole fits in with Tony Stark's team and whatnot. So this was just an enjoyable read when it comes to Hank Pym, and whatnot, and Scott Lang, and just all the other Avengers. It was good to see them all together, even though if they were all screwed up to begin with. So in the end, I'm going to give this one probably a 4.25, almost 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was a good book. I really enjoyed it, and it was a page turner for me, and I can't wait to see where this book goes. So guys, now it's your turn in the comments below to tell me what you thought of Secret Empire issue number 4. Are you still enjoying this event? Are you not enjoying this event? And what are your theories about this book going forward? And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. Don't forget to check out ComicFrontline.com. Also, every Tuesday night, starting around 9:30, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our live show where we talk about the comic books news, our top 5, and our most anticipated books of the week. And again, fans, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off, and we can't do it without you. Subscribe today, and we'll see you on the next comic book review. Take care, guys. Bye.